We believe that education is not simply about acquiring new information or passing tests or writing quality papers. Education is about the formation of the whole person. Along with being concerned that you acquire the knowledge and technical skills that come with an undergraduate degree, we also want to provide space for you to engage your context with greater intentionality and hope, compassion, and awareness. We want you to not only become smarter and more curious, we want you to become more integrated. We want you to develop a clear sense of how you're wired and what you're passionate about. We want you to engage more fully in what we believe God might be up to in this world. And so when we talk about vocational formation, we're not just talking about your job or career. We're talking about the posture you have towards the world, regardless of what work you do. We're talking about the practices you engage to help you stay connected to your identity and all the different communities with which you engage. As you begin your education with us, I want to introduce you to a few things you will experience in every course you take dealing with your own vocational formation. But first, because the word vocation is used in diverse ways and contexts, let me quickly define what we mean when we use this phrase. We lean heavily on the Latin root of the word vocation, vox, which means voice. And we talk about three voices of vocation: the voice of our identity, the voice of our context, and the voice of God. Which means the primary capacity necessary for our vocational formation is listening. We want you to listen to the voice of your identity, those particular longings and passions, those things that once identified you can't help but embrace and pursue. And we want you to listen to the voice of your context. Are you paying attention to your workplace, faith communities with whom you worship, or the coffee shops and grocery stores you visit? And we want you to listen to the voice of God, that transcendent and mysterious other that pulls you more deeply into the way the world was created to be, a place of justice and hope, love, mercy, joy, and kindness. And in listening to these voices, our identity, our context, and God, we are able to more fully engage our workplaces and contexts, our family, our friends, and our world. So let me introduce you to the vocational formation elements you will experience in your courses here at ACU. In some courses, you will engage a 5 to 8 minute video in week 1 that explores one of 4 theological themes: creation, kingdom of God, hospitality, and presence. These videos will introduce you to what we believe is an important foundation for how we understand ourselves, the world, and God. Out of these videos, you will then be invited into a practice of presence over the course of that class. Perhaps we'll invite you to pay attention to those whom you normally overlook: grocery clerks or baristas or colleagues. Or perhaps we'll invite you to reflect at the end of your day with questions like, what was life giving about your day? Or what was life taking about your day? Or perhaps we'll invite you to find moments to simply slow down, to breathe, and to rest. And the purpose of these practices of presence is exactly what we've titled them: a way to practice being more present in the world. At the end of the course, in week 7, you will then be invited to write a brief 250 to 500 word essay reflecting on your experience with these practices of presence. What did you learn about yourself or your context or your sense of God through these practices? The only criteria by which these essays will be graded is, were they on topic? In other courses you take, you'll have a different element of vocational formation. Instead of engaging with a theological theme and a practice of presence, we'll have a short podcast or digital short story that highlights a working professional and how they experience their work as meaningful. Perhaps we'll hear from a teacher who found a meaningful connection with a student everyone else overlooked. Perhaps a nurse will share how they found their way through a season of burnout through practices of contemplation and mindfulness. Perhaps we'll hear from a plumber who found new life and work through an experience with a client. These stories, while specific and born out of a particular context, will hopefully spark your own imagination for how you engage the world you inhabit, and we'll provide a few reflection questions that might help with this. We believe that God longs for the world to be a place of human flourishing, and as you go on this educational journey, we want to provide the space for you to experience this flourishing and engage your context in such a way that those around you experience it as well. We're so excited to have you join the ACU community and long for you to flourish, not just in your education, but in your home, your faith community, your workplace, and your neighborhood.